think if I start with one of my National Collection plants, I think that's it's always a good start. There we are.
Oh!
There. So that is one of the Citrinensis aspidistras. Common name, by the way, is snowflake tree. And when the new foliage comes out, it is white. And yeah, you can sort of see it is the shape of a snowflake. Really lovely thing this is. And also related to one of my other favorites, which I couldn't bring because it was just a stick, but that's Brassaiopsis mitis. I just love those as well. And I mean, lovely plants, and definitely one that people who like foliage need to grow.
Hello and welcome to episode 74 of Talking Dirty. I think you could be in for a rather exciting ride if our pre-podcast chat is anything to go by. Over at East Ruston Old Vicarage, looking kind of calm at the moment, but that might change. We have Alan Edward Herbert Gray, our happy and very handsome horticulturalist.
Well, on this cold morning, it's enough to freeze your what's-her-names off because we have a cold northeasterly wind, which is horrid here on the northeast coast of Norfolk. But down in Cambridgeshire with a sunny smile, we have Thordis Maria Sophia Fredriksson looking absolutely stripy wonderful.
Very stripy today, but really I can't do battle with the full fashion parade that's coming to us from somewhere near Penzance. Joining us in a long-awaited appearance on Talking Dirty, we have the brains behind Surreal Succulents. We've got on the one side Dan Michael, on the other side Mark Lee, loving your lumberjack shirts. Guys.
Lumberjack. I brought you down to my level.
Lumber Dan.
Though, Mark, I think you might have something a little bit more floral going on underneath that jacket. Oh, yes.
It's a bit cold for that, though, Mark.
I'm gonna see how long I can endure it. How's that?
Thank you, giving us a twirl, covered in flowers. Alan, I could see that in your wardrobe.
Yeah, you could. You could indeed. What's it say on the front? Hype?
I think it says hype on the front.
Yeah. It's all about succulent hype.
Before we get stuck into the plants, and I think this is going to be a pretty giddy episode, do you have any middle names to share, guys?
You go first.
I've just got Daniel James Michael.
Very, very solid. What about you, Mark?
That's not his name.
DJ Michael.
He's known as Succulent Dan.
No, that's at home.
So, yeah.
And Mark?
Mark Han Solo Lee. No, I'm Richard. Mark Richard Lee.
I've immediately got some sort of Aeonium lightsaber hybrid thing going on. I just imagine you like brandishing an Aeonium across the nursery.
Only when I'm upset with Dan.
Now, guys, if people listen to this podcast or watch it every week, they will know that we've been talking about you since we had a very fun chat with you at the Chelsea Flower Show. Your absolutely stupendous gold medal award winning stand, rightly deserving that medal. You had quite an exciting show. You launched your Semponium. I know you've got lots more of those up your sleeve, but it's so brilliant for you to join us today. First of all, let's get a bit of your backstory, a bit of Surreal Succulents. Where are you guys how did it start? Where did your love of succulents come from?
Well, it started years ago. So I started working on St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, and there as a gardener. And
did you?
Just seeing these plants in the garden? Yeah, I did, Mark. Yeah, just seeing these plants in the garden, I just got addicted straight away. Obviously, then the addiction grew, and then I had to obviously find more and more, and then add more to the collection year after year. And I think I started about, I always forget the year of it, but about 2005, something like that. So was it 17 years of collecting now? So quite a lot of plants, well over 2,000 varieties now. It used to be 2,000, but it's definitely well over 2,000 now. So quite a few.
He lived on St. Michael's Mount as well.
I lived there for 8 years as well. Yeah.
And had his children.
4 children over there. So quite an experience.
Can they walk on the level?
No, they're all just working. Yeah.
Depends which way the tide's going.
A lot like me. Yeah.
It's actually an amazing place to sort of develop a love of succulent plants. For anyone who hasn't been to St. Michael's Mount, it is I think, a day in your life that will stay with you forever if you get to visit.
Yeah, they've got loads of little microclimates within the gardens. You learn the measure there, and you can plant accordingly to the situation. But they thrive. They've got the heat of the sea. They've got the reflected light of the sun, off the sea as well. And it's a really incredible climate. So it's definitely worth visiting that place. Definitely.
So, Mark, when did you come onto the scene?
I lived a complete opposite life to Daniel, because he just grew up on a rock in the bay there.
Mark grew under the sea.
Well, basically, me and Dan knew each other as little nippers running around in Penzance. When I left school, you have your careers interview. I went to my careers advisor and she said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A professional surfer."
Hence the shirt.
She said, how are you going to do that? And I just said, "Well, not come to school and practice surfing a bit more." And then when I turned 18, I became a beach lifeguard, and I did that for 12 years. But I had a big accident in amongst all of that, and someone's parents said to me, "What are you going to do with what are you going to do?" Sort of. I ended up doing my degree in 3D ceramic design with my supporting studies in wood and metal. And then on the year of graduating, I got a job teaching at Falmouth University. And then whilst I was there, I taught on a course called Contemporary Crafts, which used to specialise in wood, metal, ceramics, plastic and glass. And then I also taught on product design. And then I worked for the research department there as well. And I basically saw all my students becoming really successful and winning awards and this, that, the other. So I thought I was going to leave and I was going to get into kind of doing like architectural garden room design. I've got quite a passion for sort of renovation and property. My family are builders. And then I bumped into Dan, and after a few kind of barbecues and drunken nights, rekindling our friendship, I ended up in partnership with him. So business partnership.
And that's 5 years ago? That's 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, 5 years.
It's not always business.
Can I just say one thing, Mark? You know your own business best.
So it was good for me because I had we've got obviously our nursery located in Tremblay Sculpture Gardens. That had been going a year and a bit.
3 years.
3 years. Okay,
yeah.
Time warp. So instantly that season, I could start doing my designs, my ideas.
And we wanted to push the shows, didn't we?
Yeah, you were looking for a sort of garden design, and I'd started doing whilst working at university, kind of garden design for sort of just people I knew and things like that to get my portfolio going. So Dan kind of twisted my arm so hard I couldn't say no, and then
still hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I've always been into plants. So Grandad used to sort of take me down to his allotment every time my mum couldn't stand me. And, I've always been around plants. I've always sort of kept plants at home. Like if there was no surf one day, like me and my friends were like, we're a bit bored, let's go make a cactisserie, which I don't even know if that is a thing, but we went to the garden centre, chose a pot, had a cactus competition, and then went to our mums to judge it, sort of thing, and plant it up. So I've always just kind of messed around with plants.
You always lose though.
Just taking part that counts.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention that bit. We're not competitive.
Me and Dan have some quite good grow offs as well.
Yeah.
But I've actually defeated the myth, the man, the legend, Succulent Dan.
You used Roundup on mine. Doesn't count.
So yeah, we kind of gone down this, because Dan's textbook horticulture, whereas when I kind of joined in, it's like he's got all these, a lot of people that collect succulents do it in pots in greenhouses, and it's just that's it sort of thing. Whereas I'm like, I want to get it outside. I want to see what plants can live all year round. Went a bit nerdy on it because I used to grow aquarium coral as well. When I had my big accident, I couldn't walk for a while, so I got really into like trace elements and science. So and also my degree in ceramics, there was a lot of alchemy. So I managed to kind of see it as a transferable skill into trace elements, micronutrients. We have interesting chats about that rock that Dan used to live on, about kind of like acid rain, granite minerals, what certain plants respond to it, why they grow.
Yeah.
So I basically take all of our plants and just give them a hard life outside and see what survives. Then I look at what part of the country or the world they come from, what color they are, try and link that to a similar plant, see if that survives, and we just kind of gone from there. And we're just trying to build up like a portfolio of bulletproof UK hardy succulents.
There's a lot now. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah.
And then that's spurred on. There's people that breed things that are really ornamental. There's millions of hybrids and things like that coming out now. But I've gone like, Dan, can you make something I can grow outside, please? Sort of thing, which kind of, inspired hardy breeding and Semponiums and stuff. So,
and I think that's, incredibly exciting. That UK hardy succulent, that is a term that I think lots of people, their ears prick up and they just think, brilliant, this is something that I can try and not worry about wasting my money. And so I suppose that's part of how you've managed to grab so much attention, and particularly that Semponium that got everybody talking at Chelsea.
Crassulacea are well known for playing around with each other, and there's so many different crosses around the planet, and I'd never seen Aeonium cross sempervivum before, so I thought, well, that's got to be something that I've got to try. Be nice to be able to name it and all of that as well. So we took the pollen off of the Aeonium.
He hybridized the Aeonium with the sempervivum and ripened the seed on the sempervivum. Sempervivums are hardy to -20. Some Aeoniums are very tender and sort of kill over at 3 degrees.
And I also used a hardier variety of Aeonium as well, so that which had survived down to -3. So we're hoping that those genetics have been picked up in the seed batches. So they're still being tested.
And also, if we haven't got it now, we've got a more compatible plant that will go back into sempervivum.
And we've started doing
as
that.
We found out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a pretty amazing journey, because once we created them, we had to keep it a secret for a couple of years, because Dan's a bit I don't know what the right word is. No, yeah, secret.
Yeah. That's the word.
He's a bit OCD about what plants we release, because there's so many weak hybrids and things like that.
Oh, you can. Yeah,
it has to be tried and tested with us. So if we get a new plant, even if it's like the world's most popular hybrid, Dan has to grow it for a year
at least
to get it through one winter to feel like he knows that plant well enough to put it on our website. So the Semponiums had to go through a couple of winters, didn't they? And then when we had a few numbers, we took them home to test outside before we told anyone. So we kind of trialed them, and then
2-3 years we've had them in the garden. So and they're still there. So.
And then we let the cat out the bag, and then we sort of we talked to the RHS just before the pandemic, just going, we think we've got something really cool, but we don't know what to do. And we had to get it accredited by a botanist, wasn't it? So we had to it was really weird, because I had to send off leaves, because we didn't want to send them a full plant. And then we're like, what if they like tissue culture, or what if we do this, we do that? We just didn't know what was going on. And that was good though, because is it Julian Shaw?
Sure, yeah.
He botanist of the RHS. He started getting really into it. We built a level of trust. But he confirmed that it was a true intergenetic cross species hybrid. And then we went to the RHS, who originally wanted to call it Semponium, wasn't it?
Semponium, yeah.
We weren't allowed to call it
off the tongue as well.
We weren't allowed to call it Semponium. And then when they did more testing, they said, "You've done it, guys," or Dan. You can call it what you want. So it was Semponium was born. Then we did the Chelsea press conference. The year it was cancelled and postponed and cancelled. So it was quite cool, because we got up invited up on the stage to talk a little bit about it. No one really knew. It's amazing, but no one there really understood it, because we're not that great at explaining.
Well, I'd obviously read about it before we came to Chelsea, but it's I think something else when you then clapping eyes on this actual real life plant. Alan, I don't think I'll ever forget the moment when there was you just falling in love with this plant. It was love at first sight.
Well, it was Mark, really. I have to say that.
Thank you.
No, it was really nice, because in actual fact, we've all been trying to grow these things outside. I don't do it anymore, but for 25 years, my front courtyard outside my front door, it's cold and shady in the winter, but in the summer it's baking hot. And it was an entrance drive, so it was very gravelly soil. And I used to bed it out with succulents, Echeverias mainly, and Aeoniums every year. Problem was, when you get Aeoniums and they get to a decent size, say 3 feet, a metre tall, bits fall off all the time. They're a bit like people. bedding out becomes a chore, and then you get fed up with it, and you do it for 25 years, and you think, I've had enough, I'm not doing it anymore. But one of the things I did notice, both with Echeverias and with Aeoniums, and I think it's probably mainly Schwarzkopf and maybe Voodoo, seedlings would appear the following year. Yes. And quite often these seedlings appear in strange places. You know, the seed will be blown to the base of a wall or the bottom of a hedgerow where it's dry in the winter. And that answers a few questions, doesn't it? Because, you know, if you can keep these plants dry, they will take a little bit more frost probably than ordinarily. But I mean, you know, it was fascinating whilst I did it. And then to see you two guys with Sienna, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sienna, yeah.
We had all of them on preview, but Sienna was the actual release. We've only released one so far.
Well, Sienna was the one that I bought, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or did you give it to me? No, you're not that generous. I bought it. I bought it, and you gave me another one.
I gave you Aeonium Pomegranate.
You did, yeah. That's
good
right.
Memory.
Just checking. Oh man.
Remember what you gave everybody at that show?
Because Daniel beat me profusely for giving stuff away.
I wouldn't do that.
You were still smiling, so that doesn't matter.
How are they getting on?
They're well. Yeah, they are. They're very well. I've got in our large greenhouse, I've got my own bench, which nobody else is allowed to touch or water or anything. Because, you know, when you have people working for you, and if somebody kills something that belongs to you, you hold the grudge for life.
Yeah.
I saw a little look then from Dan to Mark.
I've got a story about someone killing something very precious to you. So,
yeah.
I started renovating my house, and I grow orchids, and I managed to get a really rare orchid. Well, it's not. I don't think it's rare. It's just hard to come by. So it's
Grammatophyllum.
Grammatophyllum scriptum canitum or something. So it's like one of the giant tiger orchids. It flowers for like 3 or 4 months with a really nice sort of lemony, balmy fragrance. And I had this big extension built on my old house with big skylights. I thought I've got perfect conditions. It likes the heat. If I can just figure out the humidity. So I grew it for a couple of years, and I started renovating. I lent it to Dan. And I've never seen it again soon.
Yeah, they are kind of classified.
And I've never seen one for sale again.
It came with a really horrible virus. I'm sure it had. It's really bad.
Got COVID.
It had, yeah.
The only known case of transference from person to orchid.
That's where it came from, I think.
Yeah. It's interesting you say you're saying that about, you know, succulents can survive the cold if they're dry, because like a lot of echeverias in Mexico will go to sort of -8, -10 at night. And when we do garden design, we try and, you know, create a really, really free draining mix, because you can add more water in the summer, but you can't take it away in the winter. So we kind of gear up the gardens for winter rather than, you know, what's going to make them grow best in the summer.
What do you think about the current trend for planting in sand beds?
Sand does actually stay quite wet.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'm presuming this is is a kind of gritty sand, not like beach sand.
Yeah.
Tremonier's got some, like the where we have the nursery, we sometimes help them with some planting and things like that. They've got some really sharp draining bits in the garden. But I mean, if it works for people where it normally wouldn't, then just go for it.
You're not going to get the growth rates that you would.
Yeah, gravel gardens and sand gardens, people are recognizing that now. The whole range of plants that can go in there. But
I think the other thing that I've noticed is that seaside gardens quite often, I mean, if you go to, for instance, if you go to a place like Sheringham, which is about 12 miles up the coast from where I am, and, you know, it's right on the sea, but there are rows of terraced houses, and they quite often have Aeoniums or Echeverias in their gardens the whole year round. Yeah. And that is because, I mean, they are so free draining. I mean, it's practically beach shingle. That's what they're growing in. And that works.
We'll show you some plants in a minute, but basically all they need is just sucked up into the leaves and the stem, and it's not like a rose where it needs, continual feeding. It literally just grabs it all and stores it. And
I think that's what people perhaps ought to be a little bit more aware of, is that succulents I mean, cacti, we know they're just a lump of green flesh that swallows water and stores it. But succulents do the same in their leaves because they have thick leaves, quite a lot of them, and also their stems. So they store water as well. So the thing is, if you've got them, I mean, let them dry out during the winter. They'll tell you when they need water because I always think the Aeonium leaves go slightly wrinkly. In other words, they start to shrink a little bit and it needs a drink. Come on. Don't overwater.
It's a hard one explaining about how to keep Aeoniums because they're growing, they go summer dormant.
Yeah.
So if they get too hot, they shut down. I mean, they're the easiest plants in the world to look after because they just do what they want. If if it's too hot, they'll go dormant. They don't need anything. And then when they're growing, but over winter, you get these optimum sort of growing periods. So if you see the lower leaves drying up and getting crispy, they do need a drink, but you need to make sure they're dry enough if we get frost comes in.
Yeah.
And things like that.
And a heat wave.
But you can just use we use horticultural fleece, and we've got a thicker micron fleece that we kind of sell off our website that protects to -10. So it's a bit heavier, a bit thicker than the sort of normal stuff.
You're sitting there in a tunnel and you've got between you, there's something coming between you. And I mean, it's
What are you looking at?
it's an Aeonium behind you with a one. What is it? Is that variety called Voodoo?
Aeonium Cyclops, this one.
Cyclops.
Sister Cyclops as well.
It's Voodoo's sister
seed. And when we're talking about stems, how about that?
For people listening to the audio version, I mean, this is like a sapling tree. I mean, it's got a really proper trunk.
Yeah. And this is probably, you could get it to this within 3 to 5 years. And then they're called Cyclops for 2 reasons. A lot of people think it's because they don't offset. So because it's just got a single head and no kind of babies. But if you feed the plants enough, that's another kind of myth about succulents. Everyone starves the poor things. But basically when we get to summer and the light levels get hotter, this will change color to red, and it has this like green center that, because it grows as it's going to dormancy, and it looks like the eye of the mythical beast, the Cyclops. So yeah, but really fun plants to grow. Just referring back to the Semponiums, we've got big tall things with Yuccas and tall Aeoniums, and then we've got small things like Semponiums and Echeveria, but the Semponiums are a good middle height for us to use in our garden design.
Well, some aren't.
Yeah,
one isn't.
Some are, some aren't. But that was a really nice thing, because when you're showing plants and trying to get a gold medal, you've got to have height, you've got to have detail. You want plants at all different layers and that. And the Semponiums, I was so excited when we're 3 years in, and it's like, whoa, we had some start to flower for the first time.
Quite a short height as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah, so it's really cool for us because we just got more things to design with, more palette.
Are Semponiums similar to Aeoniums in the fact that the flowering spike then dies when it's finished? Set seed, and then that rosette dies.
Same with Semponiums. Yes, they both.
Yeah.
We found they tend to offset at the base after flowering, which some Aeoniums don't do. Some of the monocarpal ones.
But Aeoniums are strange things because I had a Voodoo, which is Cyclops' sister, that had got really unwieldy and too tall. So I chopped the stem in half. I rerouted the top bit, and I left the old stem in the pot. And it then produces offsets, which is very loath to do normally. So I'm quite lucky in that respect. They don't always do that, though, do they?
Let me show you this. No. Is that a Cyclops as well, or this first one? This whole thing, we'll get into feeding. So this is the same plant.
Oh right, yeah.
It's just when you feed them more, they offset. So
that's astonishing.
You can see this one's not very Cyclops looking. It's Cyclops and his friends.
So they do offset from the base a lot as well, because of one of the parent plants is Aeonium undulatum, which is a species, and that one offsets from the base.
Yeah,
that's where it's got that from.
I need to ask you guys a question, please, because you say feed a lot. And Dan, you said that in midsummer they kind of go dormant in midsummer.
They do, yeah.
So my question is to you: when do you feed?
So spring and autumn is when you feed Aeoniums. Ideally we like to shut all of our plants down with feed by the end of summer. So because then if they've got less food and they're less lush going into winter, and that makes them hardier plants for the winter.
Right. Yeah.
So ideally in the spring, when it warms up, when the last frosts are gone, and you can make sure you can protect them from any late frosts, then pot them up. We like to just take all the old soil off, refresh the roots. They send out new roots. They pull in more nutrients. We even bury like the taller stem ones. We bury them deeper in the pots, so then that actually stabilizes the plant as well. And then they put new roots out.
Because I'm growing things outside, so when they're grown outside, you'd be surprised they get even bigger than what you see here. We've got we're controlling the water in. We're trying not to get any spotting for shows and things like that. But you see the stems like as thick as your arm, sort of thing. Certainly on the
maybe my arms, but not yours.
They grow so much. He's been
playing with a lot of stems, haven't you? So,
I haven't played rugby for a couple of years because I wasn't allowed to, because we were going to go to Chelsea.
You kept injuring yourself. And then we had the pandemic, so I've actually shrunk.
Oh,
I have to give up football. You have to give up rugby. There you go.
We are learning so much in this podcast already. My mind is sort of exploding with all the info I'm trying to absorb. What plant are you going to show us next?
Mark just pulled out his shirt.
Whilst we're still on Aeoniums, I'll show you some more Aeoniums, but the most amazing thing is the flowers.
This is very early flowering.
They flower in the spring. You might see them start to go into flower
February to June
at the end of the winter. They get, we've had such mild winters, they get really confused. So my mum sent me a picture saying, I've got this in flower, how weird, it's winter. And I said, well, actually it started flowering in sort of October, but you don't go in your garden to have a look.
Ouch.
But they flower for months and months. There's still loads to open here, and because you've got all the stored energy in the stem, and the flowers can be like 3 foot high. So these kind of cyclops would be 6 foot high.
So this one
you'll have a flower spike even bigger.
That's a flower spike there. That's coming into flower. So that'll be. Well, that'll be ready for the bees. This one sadly hasn't.
Yeah, it's ready for the flies.
Yeah, Cornish flies.
So when basically when the heads elongate and it starts to turn into a triffid, is coming into flower, and a lot of people get sad about flower, and I think Aeonium flowers need to be celebrated because it just you've got this massive golden scepter in your garden for months.
It looks like a golden Christmas tree.
Yeah, and just flowering and flowering for ages.
A bit early about that one.
There's so much
or late.
There's so much food in them as well for wildlife. You just see loads of bees just exhausted and drunk on the nectar, just hanging out on them. And that's one thing we're really excited about, because I know we got a gold medal at Chelsea and stuff, but we can you were too drunk to remember.
Yeah, I know.
We can show the same sort of thing but with flowers.
Yeah.
We had one late flowering Aeonium nobile, but we can have the same thing with all these massive scepters and just try and take it to the next level. So I'll show you. Hold that down.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
It's got scent to it, Mark.
I'll show you.
Smell it.
This is. It's nice.
No,
I thought it was your cologne.
God, I love this one.
Aeonium tabuliforme, nicknamed fabuliforme because it's fabulous. It grows with the Fibonacci spiral, and this is actually a good.
And that'll flower at the middle.
Yeah, this is good. It's quite good for indoors. It is tender, so you need to protect it from frost. But they basically, you see, we've got a tiny sort of pot it's grown in. They're very happy pot bound. We use them, in cracks in walls and things like that, and they can look quite good just for a season. If you've got like the drainage holes in a wall, what do you call them? Retaining walls, and they have the like drainage holes. We pop these in there, and generally, that because you've got that body of soil behind it, it will keep it frost free. So you can do some really funky things with this plant. There's a very similar one called glandulosum,
It's pink.
Just before it flowers, it goes completely.
And that also has a variegated form, doesn't it?
There is a variegated form of tabuliforme. It's not stable though.
No.
Once that plant flowers, they might take leaf cuttings of it, but
this is a species Aeonium as well.
Yeah.
The thing about that one is it does erupt from the middle, and it erupts like a volcano. And then it looks rather rude, actually. And, each day you can come down and say, "Mummy's got bigger."
yeah. Stop saying that now.
And then, of course, it does flower and it dies.
Yeah, but this is what I think people don't know, and you correct me on this if I'm wrong. This type can self-pollinate and self-seed.
It's self-fertile, yeah.
Self-fertile. So a lot of people get, that's it sort of thing, but you then have hundreds of seeds.
Thousands.
And
you get thousands of
you can get this as big as a dustbin lid as well.
Yeah. What's the Aeonium called that has the big red floral display?
Nobile. We've got that next.
Yeah, that's right. Nobile. Nobile. Nobile.
You say noble, I say nobile.
I call it the cabbage.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So this is another species of Aeonium.
That when it flowers is just so exciting because the inflorescence is a bright red, and I mean it is absolutely fantastic. Now I've had this flower, and I have grown some seedlings from it as well.
How big was your knob, Bill? How big was your knob? Your nobile
basically it's Aeonium nobile or nobile, and we call it knob for short.
Yeah, just can you go and grab the knob, please?
Yeah.
Makes life easier, doesn't it?
Should we take a knob to the show? Yeah, let's take a knob.
Okay, more than one knob. God, it's two driving up.
I can say one thing, just I wouldn't go without one.
Feel we need to, if we just tip that a bit, you might be able to see the plants better.
But
this is it's just like a cabbage. And we talked about the thick leaves. You can really start to see it on plants. And it does have quite a big fat stem in the middle when they get taller. But yeah, amazing plant. You take a light frost. There's one you'd have to sort of fleece to grow outside all year round.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then if you were to give these two plants to succulent Dan, he would then hybridize them. It's not in the best condition, so this wouldn't make it into a show. But this is Nobile cross tabuliforme, nicknamed nobiliforme.
Just for you, Alan.
So
thought you like the name of that.
I love the way you give these plants names because they're names that ordinary people won't forget.
Yeah. This one's Dave. Weirdest thing is this is actually hardier than both its parents.
It
doesn't get as affected. I mean, we'd still class it as tender one to fleece, but it nowhere near looks as bad at the end of the winter.
Have you flowered this one yet?
Yeah.
And what's the inflorescence like?
Yellow with a orangey tinge, isn't it? Yeah,
peachy, yellow breaking into
peach.
You
can see both parents in there.
Definitely. I love your sensitivity, Mark. Peach.
It's very peachy, this one.
It's got a lot of peach on his shirt, hasn't he?
Peach is very trendy.
I'm trending. So this was again, this had to twist Dan's arm to release because he's like, it won't be hard, it won't be cool. And then it was like 2 years in, it's like, Dan, look at it. How can you deprive the world of this plant?
It is cool. Yeah. Okay. It's
a
nice touch as well when it's got a nice touch to feel to it, hasn't it?
Before you get your next show and tell out, I mean, obviously we mentioned the idea of growing Aeonium from seed, which some people might kind of be off put by, might think is going to be challenging. But I haven't tried it lots, but it struck me as being fairly easy for people to have a go at.
In obviously, like all seeds with the correct conditions, they are very easy. Yeah, but I find we find them seeding all over the floor, but there's little microclimates everywhere in here.
I don't know if you watch our Instagram lives, but we basically set up a thing of plants and film them, but all in the background it looks like weeds. They're actually baby Aeoniums.
I'll get one up in a minute. But just if you're growing them from seed, just a normal seed pan, just any pan. or seed tray. So I said pan because it sounds different, doesn't it?
Sorry,
I always say tray. See,
you're making it sound
Yeah.
too technical.
I know. Seed tray, seed pan, seed pot, whatever.
Volume of soil.
So yeah, you just use like a low nutrient seed compost, obviously peat free, and then you just moisten that soil, and then it's like a dusting of seed. Just dust that over the surface. Cover that. I use like a perlite, which is quite good, and then I cover that with a sheet of cling film or a sheet of or some plastic or a bit of glass, and then 20 degrees. But don't put it in full sun. Keep it in the. It's a good time of year to do it now, and you can control the conditions in a greenhouse with a heated mat. 20 degrees, and you should have thousands within a week or 10 days. So yeah, they don't take long.
Comes up like cress.
Comes up like cress, it do. Chop that tree down now.
That's one of the hardest thing when we make our hybrids, or Dan makes hybrids, is you get high germination rate, but then you've got to just pick the one out of all of that to then be to represent that cross. And then you get
the feeling, don't you, that I'm going to pick so let's say we'll pick these 10 and the other 990 you dispatch, shall we say? But then you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe these won't show their true colours until their second year.
Exactly.
Yeah, we talk about when we get more space of keeping hold of stuff for having like a 6-year cycle rather than a 6-month cycle.
It's a hard thing to do, but
yeah,
we seem to make the right choices so far. So hopefully.
Well, we don't know.
Unfortunately, you never will. You can just have nightmares about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, what's up next?
So we've got.
Are we on to
Echeveria?
Oh yes.
So we thought this is probably one of my favourite Echeveria. So this is Echeveria elegans, really common.
It's probably hard to see against this shirt. Put it against mine. There you go. You can see that a bit better.
It's hardy to about -8, and it's quite a bulletproof, plant to grow. You can grow it indoors, you can grow it outdoors, outside.
Yeah.
But when the temperatures drop, and this is the whole thing when we talk about stress in succulents, a lot of people will grow them and not feed them in the growing season to get these kind of colours, which you can actually get over winter any rate. So you want to feed them, get them into big, strong plants. It encourages them to offset. And then when the temperatures drop, it will turn into this. So
oh gosh, yes.
Right, did I bum you?
Yeah. Can you please
Sorry.
Bend at the knees, please. Bend at the knees.
We need a wider camera. I don't know if you can see that. Try not to drop any stuff on my keyboard.
It's just flushed with this gorgeous sort of lilac-y pink.
Yeah, and bear in mind we've only had our first frost last week. You'll get this like a really
very lucky this year,
a really bright pink. And that's the thing I'm really excited about designing with succulents is, all you lot now waiting for your foliage to come back and your bulbs to show. Your garden's going to look, super tropical all year round, and you'll get the flowers.
Yeah,
just not as spectacular as
you could sit out there in
like
the freezing cold weather.
I can see this becoming a great trend, for people that have got troughs in their garden. I mean, stone troughs or wooden troughs or raised beds or whatever they've got, providing they get the right medium for growing them in, and they're sheltered and dry enough. This could be fabulous. I'm loving it.
And in my sort of garden at home, and that I grow a lot of succulents under big palms, because the palms would be the frost protection. So you've got
umbrella.
So you got big cut like Brahea Marta and things like that. Like hardy palms.
We can't use umbrellas in Cornwall.
And then all this party going on underneath it, sort of thing. And then if we do get a frost, I can then use the palm tree to hold the fleece up and just take over everything. So once you know what you're doing, you can
it does
achieve,
scare you at night though. It looks like a giant ghost, doesn't it, in your garden?
Yeah. you get a little bit anxious when it's cold, but it's all part of it. You just got to just go, right, if you're meant to be here, you're going to be here at the start of next spring. But I love this. It's just carpets and grows.
It's one of the most common ones, but
it sends up really nice pink flowers
in the spring.
I think the the flowers of Echeveria remind me of like where fairies live, because they're kind of little tiny bell shaped.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I really like them.
Oh, is that where fairies live? I don't know. They exist,
Some
but-
of them do. Some live elsewhere.
It's like your shirt mark, fairy tale.
Yeah, and then Echeverias can come in all shapes and sizes. So I'll let Dan do this one. I don't want to just have an hour of me talking.
Bye.
I'll talk. So you can
Sorry.
introduce this one.
This plant, isn't it?
Up to the camera, come on.
Yeah,
It
this
kind of
one.
coordinates
Yeah.
with your shirt.
Oh, now blend. I should have had the other
The
one.
last one
Blends
blended
in.
with me.
Yeah. So this is Echeveria agavoides Ebony, and it's got this lovely bluey green foliage, and then you've got this outside rim on the outer margins of this dark, really dark, almost black colouring.
Go close.
We'll go right into the.
Yeah.
There we
People
go.
meant to look at.
Oh, there we go.
Too much, but there we go. Look at that.
That is astonishing.
It's a really, really strong plant. It was a few years ago. It wasn't that common. And it's a lot more common now. But we've got the true ebony. There's a lot of people that are growing from seed, which aren't true, because this was a hybrid found in nature. So there's not. It's not a species. It's just it's a hybrid found. They don't know what the parentage is. It could just be some kind of spore or whatever. But there's a lot of hybrids have come off of this one plant, and there's a lot around now that that look very similar to this. But yeah, this is definitely the creme de la creme of the Echeverias.
You put this in stronger light, and the brown will creep down into the leaf. The ebony brown.
It's a good indoor one as well, isn't it? We've grown it indoor.
It's hardy as well.
Hardy, yeah.
One to grow outside.
Keep it dry. It might start losing some of the lower leaves if it's not dry, but if it can be in a dry spot outside, then it's perfect for that.
Little baby.
Yes, if your baby's
The sort of the edging to those leaves is so distinctive and eye-catching.
That's like the succulents are just little mini sculptures in your garden.
Oh, they are.
Sort of thing, I've got this one because it's actually got a funny name. Goes to my shirt, but this is also an Echeveria, isn't it?
It is an Echeveria, Mark.
So it's not the best. It's not the best example of it. But this is Echeveria gibbiflora. And there's something quite unique about the gibbiflora is they've used it because the way it grows, it produces frilly Echeveria. So you hold on to that a minute, Dan. So you get things like this, which is let me just take this top just off.
There's none of that went on his laptop. Honest.
Yeah. So this is Echeveria Linguas, and this is it one of Dick Wright's hybrids?
Yes.
So Dick Wright in Australia uses the gibbiflora, and they make weird things like this. But this is actually an Echeveria, but it looks a bit like a nuclear cabbage.
Yeah, I don't want to put people off. It looks a little bit like a collection of tongues.
Yeah,
it does. It does. Yeah.
So it's whatever
with problems.
It's whatever floats your boat, really. But I thought I'd show you because the diverse range of colour and textures in Echeveria. Not hardy, that one. Not hardy.
And the original one, whose name I've just forgotten, the gib one,
Gibbiflora.
gibbiflora. There we go. It's got like a water lily thing coming on, like these little stems with these almost water lily, beautiful leaves.
They're all, there's so many different colours, forms, and textures in the succulent family or Castellacea family that there's just something for everyone. And that's what I think it's so fun, isn't it? Like if you're doing a garden design for someone or whatever, that they cannot, like some people just have blue or some people just have Aeoniums, and we can use some of the big Yucca rostratas, Yucca thomsoniana, things like that, and just get some height and structure, and then all of this textures going on underneath.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've noticed about our desert, because we've got an area of the garden which is known as the desert wash, and it mimics the kind of landscape you get in Arizona, where you get probably one really heavy downpour of rain, so much that it floods through the landscape and it makes gulches and gullies, and then it makes little islands and all the rest of it. And when we first planted that, which is probably between 15 and 20 years ago, you walked through it and you looked down on it. Now, when you talk about using yuccas, we were using yuccas, and we yucca rostrata and all those kind of things. Now you're looking up at them. That is the amazing thing. So you actually walk between the desert. So you guys are filling me with huge ideas to underplant perhaps some of these taller things with some of these hardy Echeverias, and Semponiums are on my list too.
Yes.
It all sounds like it's going to be a piece of music to me, but there you go.
It does, doesn't it?
While we're on the desert, this one,
Shout that one.
I'm holding it.
He wants to jump
This
out.
one's one of Dan's hybrids, and this is very hardy. Looks great planted alongside Ebony. This is Echeveria Desert Harmony. And the stronger light, the more pronounced the red tips will go.
Plant that underneath your yucca. That would be a really good combination. That would.
So, yeah, and it freely offsets as well.
It gets really big.
Brilliant.
So you'll get
That's a baby, isn't it?
This is probably like a year or two old from like this, this size sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned it, Moon Shadow. You saw Moon Shadow at Chelsea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Desert Harmony can get that big. Generally like basketball size, if not bigger. And when it gets yay big, it then just breaks off into sort of 50 small plants. It's quite weird. It sort of charges up and then just goes off with my offspring.
I'm so excited for what's going to be happening in the Desert Wash, Alan.
Yeah, well, I think those guys are going to be excited about the order they're going to get.
So you get plants that get confused. So this is Echeveria Chrissy and Ryan, and then when they get weird growing points or damaged growing points,
it looks as if it's fasciating.
They're monstrose,
yeah.
So they go cristated, so they get like a thick.
Yeah.
But this is like a little, it's like a little pet, isn't it?
Yeah.
those that got small space, or whatever. So the normal Chrissy and Ryan's hardy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that survived the beast from the east down here, Chrissy and Ryan.
Yeah.
So that's a particular strain of that one that tends to do this sort of.
That's Chrissy and Ryan, and then this is the monstrose bit. So that's how it normally looks, and it will get a whole range of colours. You can get blue and orange and red.
It's just got no growing point, so it just grows sideways, and the leaves just keep forming. So it's got no single growing point. It's just a confused plant, isn't it? And it's just and then it does send off these little side shoots, which are back to its original state again. So.
Yeah, and it's they hardly ever flower either, cristated ones, do they? Some do, but not every season. Very rare to get them to flower. But a lot of collectors like these because you just got, I don't know, what would you call that?
It's like a little
do you remember that cartoon Fraggle Rock? Or
It looks like a person, doesn't it?
What people do you hang out with? Have a look. Wow,
it is like a succession of little pom-poms or sea anemones or something. It looks totally strokeable.
I was going to say something else, but I don't want to say Christmas.
I haven't a clue what you mean.
I told you it's terrible, didn't I? And then you've got like things that are really sort of rare and collectible. So this is Echeveria Pink Champagne. So it's Lowy cross Romeo, Echeveria Romeo cross Lowy. Again, this just really beautiful, really nice colours.
I don't know if you can see the markings on the leaves.
Not hardy. They have like something called Farina, which is like a
favorite thing.
A built-in sunscreen. It also protects them from bugs and things like that. Things eating them, attacking them. But people cringe on Instagram because I thought people might not know what Farina is, so I scraped it off, and it's like in the Echeveria world, that's like really offensive, isn't it?
It's really offensive.
Like, what are you doing?
Every time he goes near a plant, especially a show plant that we're taking up, I was like, oh, you've been near it, haven't you?
Just licking off all the Farina. It looks like
can't use
ice
now.
And sugar,
Yeah.
But Echeveria Pink Champagne, that's quite a rare collectible.
It is.
And some of the rare Echeverias are just phenomenal amounts of money. So you get some really hardcore people that just want this sort of stuff. It's people like Dan, so I'm gonna give you that one.
I should warn people, if they go to your website, they might find themselves feeling drawn to one or two things where the prices might feel a bit scary. But there's lots that we can aspire to, but there's also lots that we can afford, us normal people. We don't have to go down the collector route and spend sort of £60.
we do a rare plant fair once a year as well. So we have one at our nursery down at Tremonier, and then we have an online rare plant fair. And it's some of the stuff on there. I mean, it's like parting with your child. It's that rare sort of thing. Some of the plants we talk about it for 2 years, then we get used to the idea of putting it in the rare plant fair. But we think, we've got to keep our customers happy. We've got a good following, so it's better that some of these plants just go to homes where they're a bit more appreciated than what we can offer. Sometimes we've had some really like ultra one-offs, and then a year later you're like, why did we do that?
I miss it now.
So sharing's caring, isn't it? So, yeah. But with the rare plant fair, that month is an even more lethal month to be on the website.
Yeah.
What month is that, so I can stay away from your website?
October.
Yeah. See you in October.
Yeah. So we have the one at the nursery in September, and then we have the online one in October. They're both lethal.
We're doing a big opening down at the nursery in April, so that's going to be quite a big thing for us, isn't it?
Are we going to commit to the date?
Yeah.
16th of April.
Yeah, 16th.
You heard
of
it
April.
here first.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So basically, because Chelsea was at the end of September, we normally go off. We don't like to leave Cornwall that often, like all Cornish people. And when we come back, we basically do a blend of all of our show gardens down at the nursery. So because I doubt you ever get any Cornish people going up to London to shows in the so we do it so people can come and appreciate it at the nursery. So we do like a show garden, because it was sort of right at the end of September. We didn't really want to put these tender plants out in October.
No.
So we basically postponed it till the 16th of April. So we're going to set up a really huge show garden to inspire all for the growing season and to celebrate
Semponiums and
Chelsea Gold. Yeah,
it's going to be. So all of them are going to be shown.
Feel free to put it in your diary and come down.
Oh, look at that shirt.
Oh, thank you. Oh, no.
Watched some of the episodes and saw it was a bit of a fashion parade at the beginning, so I thought I'd try and
Peach freezer.
There's Alan. Look, can you see Alan?
Lily, biscuits.
Oh, Lily, come and join us. Come and see Alan.
What is waffle?
It is waffle. Alan won't know this necessarily, but there is a children's program starring a dog that looks like this. So everywhere we go, little kids go, waffle! Over at East, I have to at my own hair. I might do that bit again.
No, leave it in.